You're 30 days away from a completely different financial life, and you don't even know it yet. Right now, as you're watching this, there's a mental program running in the background of your mind, a program you didn't choose, you didn't install, and you probably don't even know exists. It's the reason you check your bank account with anxiety. It's the reason you feel guilty when you spend money on yourself. It's the reason you've been working hard for years and still feel like you're running in place. Your brain was literally wired to reject wealth before you could even speak. And here's what makes this terrifying. That wiring doesn't weaken with time. It gets stronger. Every year you don't address it, it digs deeper into your neural pathways, becoming more invisible and more powerful. Invisible prison of poverty. But what if you could rewire it all in just 30 days? Not with affirmations you don't believe, not with vision boards collecting dust, with a systematic mental challenge that attacks the exact neural patterns keeping you broke. As the legendary wealth researcher Napoleon Hill once declared, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the exact 30-day protocol that has transformed ordinary people into millionaires. And by the end, you'll understand exactly why you've been stuck and precisely how to break free. The poverty code. Before we begin the challenge, you need to understand what you're fighting against. Between the ages of 0 and 7, your brain was in what neuroscientists call theta state, a hypnotic trance where everything you heard about money went straight into your subconscious without any filter. If your parents argued about bills, your brain recorded, money equals conflict. If they said things like money doesn't grow on trees or rich people are greedy, your brain stored those as absolute truth. Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you the man. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research at Stanford showed that 95% of your daily behavior is controlled by these subconscious programs. That means only 5% of your financial decisions are actually yours. The rest, they are your parents' decisions, your teachers' beliefs, your environment's limitations, playing on repeat. You've been living someone else's financial life this entire time. Think about that. Every time you hesitate before investing, every time you feel unworthy of a raise, every time you sabotage a business opportunity, that's not you making a choice. That's a 7-year-old's programming making it for you. Delete the old code. The 30-day challenge starts by identifying exactly which poverty beliefs are running your financial life. And what comes next will show you how deep this rabbit hole really goes. Day 1 audit. Day 1 of the challenge is the most uncomfortable, and it's supposed to be. Here's what you do. For 24 hours, you write down every single thought you have about money, every single one. When you see someone driving a luxury car, what's the first thought? When you check your bank balance, what do you feel in your body? When someone mentions investing, does excitement or fear come first? Most people who do this exercise are horrified by what they discover. They find thoughts like, I'll never be able to afford that, running on autopilot dozens of times per day. You cannot change what you refuse to see. A study published in the journal Neuroscience found that the average person has over 6,000 thoughts per day, and 80% of them are negative. For people with poverty programming, the majority of those negative thoughts revolve around money, scarcity, and unworthiness. Awareness, that's the first weapon, because the moment you catch a poverty thought in real time, you've already weakened its power. You've moved it from the unconscious to the conscious, and conscious thoughts can be challenged. If this belief about money hit close to home, hit like and subscribe to reprogram more of your money blocks. The next one might be the one holding you back the most. But awareness alone isn't enough. You need to replace what you find, and that's where day 2 through 7 come in. The belief swap. Days 2 through 7 are about what I call the belief swap protocol. Here's how it works. You take every poverty belief you identified on day 1, and you create what psychologists call a counterstatement, but not in the way you think. Most people try affirmations like I am rich and I attract abundance, and their brain immediately rejects it because it contradicts their lived reality. Forced affirmations don't work. Instead, you use bridge beliefs. These are statements your brain can actually accept as true right now. Instead of I am wealthy, you say I am learning how wealthy people think. Instead of money flows to me easily, you say I am becoming more aware of financial opportunities. As cognitive behavioral therapist Dr. David Burns explains, you can change the way you feel by changing the way you think. The key is repetition with emotion. For 7 days, you read your bridge beliefs every morning and every night, but not robotically. You close your eyes and actually feel what it would feel like if these new beliefs were your default programming. Neuroscience shows that emotionally charged thoughts create stronger neural pathways. Emotion is the language your subconscious actually understands. By day 7, something subtle but powerful begins to shift. You start noticing opportunities you would have ignored before, and that's exactly the foundation you need for what comes next. Wealth frequency. Days 8 through 14 introduce something that separates the wealthy from everyone else. It's called wealth frequency immersion. Have you ever noticed that when you buy a new car, suddenly you see that same car everywhere? That's your reticular activating system, or RAS, the part of your brain that filters reality based on what you focus on. Right now, your RAS is tuned to scarcity. It highlights bills, debts, expenses, and everything you can't afford. During week 2, you systematically retune it. Here's the daily protocol. Every morning, spend 10 minutes studying how one self-made millionaire thinks, not what they did, how they think. Read their interviews. Listen to their reasoning patterns. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Then throughout the day, practice what wealth psychologists call abundance scanning. Instead of noticing what's expensive, notice what's possible. Instead of thinking I can't afford that, ask how can I afford that? That single question rewires your brain from helpless to resourceful. Scarcity to possibility. By day 14, people around you will start commenting that something about you seems different. They won't be able to pinpoint what, but you'll know your mental frequency is shifting. And what happens in week 3 will accelerate that shift beyond anything you've experienced. Fear demolition. Days 15 through 21 attack the single biggest wealth killer in existence. Fear, not the fear of failure, that's the obvious one. The fear that truly keeps people broke is far more insidious. It's the fear of success. You are secretly terrified of what wealth would require you to become. Think about it honestly. If you became wealthy tomorrow, who in your life would treat you differently? Who would resent you? Who would expect things from you? Who would you outgrow? Deep down, your subconscious knows that wealth will change your relationships, your identity, your entire social structure. And it perceives that change as a threat to survival, so it sabotages you. Every single time you get close to a breakthrough, something mysteriously goes wrong. You procrastinate on the important call. You spend the money you were saving. You pick a fight with the person trying to help you. Self-sabotage is your subconscious mind trying to keep you safe in familiar poverty. During week 3, you do one thing every day that terrifies you financially. You negotiate a price. You invest a small amount. You pitch your idea. You ask for the raise. Each micro-action sends a signal to your brain that says I am safe even when I pursue wealth. Breakthrough. By day 21, the neural pathway of fear begins to weaken. But you need to replace it with something stronger, and that brings us to the most powerful week of all. Identity shift. Days 22 through 25 execute what is arguably the most transformative technique in wealth psychology, the identity shift. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you believe you are. If you identify as someone who struggles with money, no strategy, no hustle, no opportunity will permanently change your financial situation. You'll always return to what matches your identity. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. This is exactly why lottery winners go broke. Their identity never shifted. They got rich person money with a broke person identity, and the identity always wins. During these 4 days, you write a detailed description of your future wealthy self. Not what you'll have, who you'll be. How does this version of you wake up? How do they handle problems? How do they make decisions? What do they believe about money? Then here's the critical part. Become that person now. Not when you have the money. Now. You start making decisions the way your wealthy self would make them. You start carrying yourself the way they would, because identity doesn't follow money. Money follows identity. And the final days of this challenge are about to lock that identity in permanently. Gratitude weaponized. Days 26 and 27 might sound simple, but they're anything but. You're going to weaponize gratitude, not the watered-down journal version where you write, "I'm grateful for my coffee every morning." Real gratitude. Aggressive, strategic, neurological gratitude. Gratitude as a weapon. Here's what neuroscience tells us. When you experience genuine gratitude, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the same chemicals that fire when you receive a financial reward. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between receiving money and deeply appreciating what you already have. Research from UC Davis showed that people who practiced structured gratitude were more optimistic, exercised more, and had fewer visits to physicians. But the wealth connection goes deeper. Gratitude shifts your brain from what's missing to what's multiplying. Here's the protocol. Every morning, find something in your current financial situation to be genuinely grateful for, not fake gratitude, real appreciation. Maybe it's the fact that you have income at all, that you have the intelligence to understand this challenge, that you're alive in an era with more wealth-building tools than any time in human history. As Meister Eckhart once wrote, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. When you live in gratitude, you vibrate at abundance, and abundance attracts more of itself. But there's one more weapon to add, and it changes everything. Giving paradox. Days 28 and 29 reveal the most counterintuitive wealth principle you'll ever encounter. The giving paradox. Your poverty programming screams hold on to everything, there's never enough. The millionaire mind says give first, receive second, and science backs this up completely. Everything you were taught about holding on to money is backwards. Adam Grant, a professor at Wharton School of Business, spent years studying the most successful people across industries. His conclusion: givers rise to the top more often than takers or matchers, but not reckless givers. Strategic ones. 1. Give your knowledge freely. 2. Give your time to high-value connections. 3. Give your money where it creates reciprocity. 4. Give your energy to people who multiply it. When you give from abundance rather than scarcity, something remarkable happens in your brain. The act of giving triggers what psychologists call the helper's high, a flood of endorphins that actually rewires your relationship with money. You stop seeing money as something to hoard and start seeing it as energy that flows. Money flows to those who keep it circulating. The wealthy understand this intuitively. The poor clutch every dollar in fear. During these 2 days, you give something of value every single day: money, time, knowledge, or connection. And you watch what the universe sends back. But the final day is what seals the transformation forever. The commitment. Day 30, the day that separates the 95% who tried from the 5% who transformed. This is where you write what I call the wealth commitment contract. Not a vision board, not a wish list, a contract with yourself. Contract. Here's what goes into it. First, you write down the exact poverty beliefs you identified on day 1 and formally declare them expired. Cross them out. They no longer serve you. Second, you write your new wealth identity in present tense. Not I want to be wealthy, but I am a person who creates and attracts wealth. The person you were before this challenge no longer exists. Third, and this is the part most people skip, you write down what you're willing to sacrifice. Because wealth requires sacrifice. Not the sacrifice of your health or relationships, but the sacrifice of comfort, of familiar patterns, of the version of you that played small because it felt safe. Comfort is the most expensive thing you will ever pay for with your life. You sign this contract, you date it, and you put it somewhere you'll see it every single morning for the next year. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. But here's what most people don't realize about this challenge, and it's the real reason it creates millionaires. Compound effect. The 30-day challenge doesn't create millionaires because of any single day. It creates millionaires because of the compound effect of mental transformation. Compound mental growth. Just like compound interest turns pennies into fortunes over time, compound mental shifts turn small belief changes into a completely different reality. Each day of the challenge didn't just change one thought. It changed the trajectory of thousands of future decisions. That one belief you swapped on day 3, it will influence how you negotiate your next salary. That fear you faced on day 17. It will determine whether you launch that business idea. That identity shift on day 23. It will define who you attract into your life for the next decade. Small mental shifts create massive financial earthquakes over time. Research from University College London found that it takes an average of 66 days to form a new habit. But here's what they don't tell you. The first 30 days are where 90% of the resistance happens. If you can push through those 30 days, the new neural pathways become self-reinforcing. They become your new default. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This is why the challenge works. It doesn't just teach you about wealth. It rewires the very hardware in your brain that processes every financial decision you'll ever make. Your old operating system is being permanently overwritten. The millionaires who completed this challenge didn't become rich on day 31. They became rich because day 31 was the first day they operated with a completely different mental operating system. Every decision after that compounded differently. Let me be direct with you. You now have something that 95% of people will never have. The blueprint. Not the theory, not the motivation, not the inspiration. The actual step-by-step protocol to rewire the most powerful wealth-building tool you possess, your mind. Mind is your weapon. Every single day of this challenge was designed to attack a specific layer of your poverty programming. Day 1 exposed the code. Week 1 rewrote it. Week 2 retuned your frequency. Week 3 demolished the fear. And Week 4 locked in the identity of the person you were always meant to become. But here's what separates the people who watch this video and forget it by tomorrow from the people who actually become millionaires. The ones who become wealthy are the ones who start the challenge today, not tomorrow. Not next Monday, not next month, not when they feel ready, because feeling ready is just another trick your poverty programming uses to keep you stuck. As the philosopher Lao Tzu once said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Your single step is day 1, tomorrow morning. Write down every thought you have about money. That's it. That's the beginning of everything changing. If you completed this mental journey with me, comment reprogrammed below to prove you're among the 5% who actually take action. Your mind is either programmed for wealth or poverty. Now you know how to reprogram it. If this video exposed something in you, subscribe. There's more to uncover.